My boyfriend doesn't want a baby. My 20 female boyfriend, 21 male, and I have been together for 4.5 years. I feel very confident that someday I want to have a baby. He feels that he never wants to have a baby. At first I thought we could compromise and just foster kids. I want to foster either way, but I want to actually experience pregnancy and raising a baby with the love of my life. I'm very conflicted because I don't know if either of us will change our minds. I know we will be able to compromise on other serious things like living situations and careers and whatever else is necessary, but I'm worried that this baby situation might be a deal breaker for one of us. I love my boyfriend so much and we've been through so much together. I can't imagine ever being with someone else, nor do I ever want to be. What should we do? Thank you. If you're dead set on having a baby or fostering, and he is dead set on not having kids or fostering, then it might be best to part ways. Unless either of you change your mind on the topic, there's really nothing else to do. This is most definitely a deal breaker. You need to have a very serious sit-down conversation with him. And genuinely consider ending things if he isn't willing to compromise in any way. Like others have said, this is a deal breaker. It can lead to a lot of future deception and worst of all, a breakup, divorce late within the reproductive time we have as women. Also, don't stay because you think time or even yourself will be able to change his mentality. You'll waste your time there. No one changes unless they want to change. This is kind of a deal breaker, and it sounds like if either of you gave in to the other, you'd regret it for life. Perhaps you could try couples counseling to figure something out? Neither of you deserves to be miserable, but I also get that you love each other and this is a really big dilemma. Please listen to him. Really listen. Not what you want to hear but what he's telling you. He doesn't want kids. It's up to you to decide if you're okay with that. If you're not, then walk away. Do not make the mistake of waiting hoping he'll change his mind or trying to persuade him. Some things are deal breakers. Outside of infidelity, this is the #1 killer of relationships. You do not want to spend a decade hoping he changes his mind only to find yourself back here asking if you should get divorced at 30 with the hope you can find someone who wants kids quickly. You're at the prime age to meet new people. Have a serious conversation about this, and if you're not on the same page you need to move on. No matter how painful it is now, it'll be much worse later. No other decision is as much a deal breaker as whether to have kids. It's possible he will change his mind, but you absolutely cannot demand it or expect it. If you stay together, it needs to be with you accepting his view on this, because this is one thing that cannot be a compromise. You said that you would like to have a baby someday, not right now though, right? You are both still very young. Live a little first. Work towards being financially stable so you could afford having a child, then talk again. If he won't change his mind by then, move on. Even at, let's say, 25, you're plenty young enough to start over. I, personally, wouldn't jump the gun and leave a good, loving relationship over something that isn't supposed to happen in the very near future anyway. Good luck to you. Oh, I forgot one thing. Should you stay together, whatever you do, don't get married unless he agrees on being a father. Talk to him. Tell him you want one for sure and see what he has to say about it. If he really doesn't want one, I'd break up with him. If it's a deal breaker for you, on the basis of you two wanting different things. You can't compromise on kids. You either both agree that you want to raise one, doesn't matter if you give birth or adopt or foster, or you agree that you both don't want kids. If you want to experience childbirth and raising a baby and he does not want that, then this is not going to work out. As a sorority girl, here is my advice. Break up with your high school boyfriend. You grew up with him and you've been through so much that it feels like he is the end-all be-all, but he isn't. You are so young and have many years to find someone who wants to be a father and have a big family with you. Moving on is hard, but it's time to move on to someone who wants the same future. He's only 21. There's a massive chance he'll change his mind. Most 21-year-old guys don't envision ever having kids. I sure as hell didn't, and now my kids, both planned, are the best AMD only reason I wake up of a morning. On the other hand, he may never want them as some people do. Unfortunately, it's just the flip of a coin at that age. What are all this hard comments about breaking up? The guy is 21. Why old, for God's sake? He shouldn't even be thinking about kids now, nor should this be a deal breaker in such a young relationship. You guys are still figuring life out. maybe he will change his opinion, maybe you will. If you're in a happy lovable relationship then stay with him. When I was in my early 20s I said no way in hell would I want babies. By my mid-30s that changed. Now I'm 40 and have 3 beautiful kids. 20 and 21 is in my opinion still a bit young to already have your mind made up about it. Maybe if he sees his friends getting a child he'll change his mind. He's not going to be ready right now, no one ever is fully ready. But if he's been with you for over 4 years and you're both as young as you are, his mentality probably won't change. He doesn't have a time frame in which to become a dad, like you and women in general do. If he wanted to have a kid at 60 he could. If your goal is to have a family, don't let him ruin that by keeping you kidless up through your 30s and 40s before you realize it's just a trap. I'd communicate with him that your life is important, too, and if you truly see yourself as a mother one day and he doesn't see himself as a father, I'm sorry but that's too big of a difference for me. If I wanted kids and found out my girlfriend didn't and we didn't already have kids, I'd move on. This is a hard line that all parties need to respect. If he doesn't want children, quit pushing it and trying to find ways around it. If you want children, find someone who wants them and stop trying to change those who don't. Because he knew that parenting isn't that easy. You are both still very young. At 21 I was partying and doing drugs 3-4 days a week and would laugh at the idea of even wanting a GF. At 26 I'm now career and family focused. Have been in a long-term relationship and focus pretty much on her, our life, and my career. Point of me saying this is people change. He might change. He might not. It's up to you to decide if you want to try to persuade him, if you want to wait him out and see, or if you want to leave. He's 21. He's barely just started his pathway in life, to be honest. Why doesn't he want kids? At that, foster children aren't all easy. We come with baggage and difficult pasts. We are complicated and sometimes hard to care for and work with depending on circumstances we came from. So I'd really think that one through many think they can foster and it doesn't work out. Let him live his life for a while. You're both still very young and kids is a lifetime commitment. He could be scared at that thought. I'll say this from my experience. I am a 33 male and I did not want kids at all until last year. Men mature slower and his mind may very well change. Something happens after 30 when what he finds fun now will change. He's young and the idea of having a kid and losing his free time is most likely what's making him say that. Not saying hold on to hope but just wanted to share my experience. I was 19, I'm a 36 yof now. When I knew I didn't want kids. Don't pressure him or think he may change his mind. You're kids, there's time for thinking about children. You can love someone to death but in the end if you two don't have the same wants you're not meant for each other even if the relationship is perfect every other way. Babies is not something you should compromise on ever. You need to be 100% in the same page. Me and my husband were and we have 2 amazing kids we can't imagine our life without. But if I ever had to date again I would never agree to having more children. I would welcome any kids he had with open arms but I do not want to have any more of my own and he would have to be on the same page as me. Kids have and always will be a deal breaker for me. This is a deal breaker topic regardless of which side of the fence you sit on. Also, you're still very young, you will have many loves of your life. You'll find someone else to have children with. Sounds like it's time to end this relationship. If you want one and he doesn't leave him, pretty straightforward. You're both young, he'll change his mind. In my 20s I didn't want kids but when I was close to 30 I realized that I did. Unfortunately my wife can't conceive so we are childless but things happen. People who stay when they don't want a child and their partner does end up resenting both their partner and the child. If you both are sure you may have to simply split up because a child is a huge deal breaker. These answers are terrible. I was dead set on no kids when until I turned 30. Minds change especially when you are that young. 20 and 21 is young and while you're absolutely capable of having your mind set on if you want kids or not, in my experience it's just not on the forefront of a guy's mind at that age. I know it's hard because you don't want to waste your time, if it's going to go nowhere but maybe examine the relationship past the child factor. Have you discussed living together, marriage? I'm not sure how long you've been together but it's okay to keep relationships lighthearted at that age. Relationships take time and hard work but they should also be fun. Go to therapy together. Do separate sessions at first with the same therapist. I don't think it's going to work. And furthermore, I don't think you should make it work. When it comes to kids, it's either great or a deal breaker. I wouldn't suggest trying to change his mind or wait for him to do so. It might be the best option to break up because you guys want different things, and kids shouldn't be compromised. Info: how old are you guys and do you know when you thought you would like to have kids? Talking about having kids at 20 is straight up the idiotic. His AMD your opinion will very likely change over the next 5 years. You can't force him and you should not trick him into it. Second and most importantly, get married. If you don't want to marry each other then the topic of kids is insane and just messed up. Work on each other before you try to add someone else into your situation. Also, you are both barely out of high school, college. Sort your lives out, then get there. Besides, one of his reason may be attached to order of importance. If it is kids, family, then you are a divorce waiting to happen. So get married first. Info: does he want to have kids, through fostering or other, and just not babies? Or does he want to have neither babies nor kids, of any age? Foster kids are not a compromise. They are children, to raise and look after. If he wants no children, fostering kids isn't your sneaky way to make an end run around his decision. This is a deal breaker. Unfortunately, this isn't a situation you can compromise on. There's no way to have half a kid. If he does not want kids and you do, it's time to pay ways and look for a partner you can share important life goals and milestones with. I am 27 female, and I don't want children, ever. I knew at the age of 7. Other people have an issue with my choice and are vocal about it. Not everyone is made for parenthood. There is solid proof of this. It's called Child Protective Services, and adoption. My boyfriend, 21, wants kids not now but wants them. I know the age thing is big. He's always been attracted to older women, and we became each other's best friend. We both love each other. We are fully aware of the other wants and respects the other's decision on it. Truth is, it's best to part ways before it's too late. I am saying it to you because I have taken my own advice. I sleep better knowing he's gonna be happy and have a family of his own. Then him slowly pull away because I don't want to have his, or anyone's baby. You are very young yet. You will still go through many things good and bad. I have to ask, why does he not want kids? Since you guys have been together so long, why not try couples counseling? This will give you guys a place to talk and have voice and listen to one another. It is not fair to the child to bring it into a home where only one parent wants it. Even if your boyfriend does a good job at playing the happy parent, there will always be underlying resentment. Also, relationships take a drastic turn after having a baby. If you add that to the pressure of him not wanting to even have a child, things will fall apart fast. It's not fair on either of you to continue onwards with someone having to give in to their wants here. This is probably the biggest deal breaker there is. Can we switch boyfriend? My boyfriend wants children. I'm an antinatalist. But I love him. It's hard. I agree as well. Becoming a parent is a lifelong dedication. If he doesn't want a baby, it might be best to go your separate ways. A child-free person should not be with someone that wants babies. It is a deal breaker. Your values do not align and you will end up resenting him, and if there is an accident, he will resent you. You both have to be a little selfish and follow your own needs, or else no one ends up happy in the long run. Well, if you have already discussed it and he still is against it, you need to decide if this is acceptable to you. If having children is something you really want in life and it sounds like it is, then you need to move on. You should not give up on something that important to you, and if he is that much against it, he probably will not be a good father. I'm sure there is someone else you can make a life with. Move on is the best in this situation unless he changes his mind. Good luck and God bless. You should definitely talk to him. I know some people are saying that number 21-year-old man truly knows if he wants kids, but my boyfriend and I are the same ages as y'all and he most definitely wants kids. I'm not saying he wouldn't change his mind because he could, but y'all are both adults and are aware of what having a baby means. If you haven't already, I would definitely ask for his reasons as to why not. He may have some underlying worry that he hasn't voiced to you. My situation is actually the reverse of y'all's, and I was the one doubting if I wanted kids, but my boyfriend and I talked through my fears and it really helped. All that is to say that I would talk to him again and find out his reasons and maybe emphasize that you don't mean right now. I'd assume that if neither of you change your minds, it'd be a deal breaker for sure. As hard as it is, sometimes love isn't enough. If you want to be a mother, you should be with someone who wants a family with you. You need to have a real conversation and see if you guys are compatible for a future together. Ask him what he sees when he thinks of your future together. If kids aren't part of that, then you need to ask yourself if this is the right relationship for you. You are both still young though, so maybe he just isn't ready or in that mentality yet. Either way, you guys need to have a very honest conversation about this at some point. I hope everything works out though. Maybe find a place you can volunteer to help with kids. It's either that, hope he changes his mind, change your mind, or split up. A deal breaker. Not to say that people don't change, but it is a gradual process that takes years of development and maturity. You can spend 5 years hoping he changes, and he might not, or spend 5 years making new memories with someone else. Sounds trite, but soulmates are a dime a dozen.